Well, I think it's getting better and better. Obviously, you have to bear in mind that it's 50 years since it was created in the UK. But for instance, in Spain or in France, it's only existed for 20-25 years maybe now. So it's still like a pretty new discipline compared to advertising that's been going for 100 years, 120 years maybe. So I think we are, as you would say in the UK, we are up and coming as a discipline. Well, I believe, if you consider that you are an agency planner, then you may feel threatened by consultancies, in-house teams, etc. If you feel like you are a strategist and your job is to do strategy, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are threatened. You have more opportunities really, because the role of the strategist is growing in influence, in importance really. So be it on the client side, be it on a consultancy side, be it on agency side, media side, we've got more and more options, and I think the role and importance of the strategy role is growing across the border. I think the only challenge really is that, especially with the case of consultancies that do not necessarily go all the way down to creating the creative work. The danger there is that the strategy work may be detached from the final creative work. And let's not forget that actually the role of the strategist is actually to help create better, more effective creative work at the end of the day. And that is an issue when we kind of detach both disciplines. I think the biggest danger in marketing generally is short-term thinking, and that is the biggest enemy of planners as well. And I think this is caused by two things mainly. Well, the first of it is that all companies follow this kind of quarter per quarter kind of logic, whereby every 3 months they have to deliver on some results, hard results, business results. Stocks go up and down, and that kind of forces the whole machine into overdrive, and every 3 months we have to make sure that we're delivering against certain objectives. That is one issue. The second issue is digital, and because of digital metrics, they are very satisfactory because they go up and down very quickly. You can see the likes go up, you can see the engagement figures go up, and it's all very kind of amazing to watch. So it's very tempting for clients to actually fall into the trap of digital metrics. So I think as a planner, our role really is to go not so much with whatever is urgent, but just take care of the important things, right? And I think the brand building, advertising and brand building generally are disciplines that require longer periods of time, and we've got the IPA research papers that actually prove that it takes longer than 3, 6 months, 12 months to build brands and for advertising to actually have a serious, deep effect on behavior and attitude. So I think we really need to fight against kind of this short-term thinking. Well, the next 5 years is going to be an interesting ride, I think, and I think our focus needs to be on sticking to the plan, right? I really like the quote by Jeff Bezos where he says, "We are very obsessive with vision and flexible with the details." I think that is what planners need to do as well. I think there are more and more distractions, more and more information available, big data, all that, and more new shiny objects, technology that keep distracting both clients and creatives. And I think as planners, our role really is to actually help them to focus on the things that really matter and the things that are going to make a change and make a difference for brands actually, and push their growth levels further on. So I think really our role is to just kind of have a helicopter view on matters and be able to actually steer clients and creatives in the right direction. Well, I think a really good planner, probably the most popular answer you're going to get in this question is curiosity. My feeling is not so much about curiosity. I really like the parallel between planners and journalists. And I think a journalist has to find a really good story, So that is curiosity, but it's not only about that. You have to be able to interpret it and be able to explain that story or tell that story in very kind of new, interesting, engaging ways. So to me, a planner has to be more interesting than actually just curious. So that I really like. I think planners are journalists. It really helps. And the second bit to me is actually friction, and I really like having kind of different profiles among planners, so that they just think differently. And in that respect, I think it's very important. Diversity is a really important point. I think one of the issues with planning worldwide is that I would say 3/4 of planners are either British or American, maybe Australian, but Anglo-Saxon, which kind of have the same kind of mindset or very similar ways of thinking. Also is built by, shaped by language. So my recommendation for agencies and clients would be to actually have hire Chinese planners or Spanish planners or French planners or Latin American planners, bring them all together in the same room and see what kind of different ways of thinking and what that brings to the mix, and how actually that produces different strategic approaches for brands, which I think is more interesting really.